So if I don't let you step back, it may look like I have a lot of tulips, but I don't. I only planted, this is actually 1,000 tulips. You plant tulips crazy close together, kind of like as close as eggs are in an egg carton. So like this patch right here, this is 100, and then there's 10 different varieties I planted. Almost all of them are doubles. Doubles have like multiple petals, and one variety of single that is a late bloomer that I love. But overall, tulips don't really agree with my timeline, my market. I don't have a farmer's market yet to sell to, and they're hard to sell to designers because for me, one tulip bulb costs on average 50 cents. And I have to account for my cost of planting them, of harvesting them, of storing them until I can sell them. I have to account for the cost of all the ones that don't grow or don't grow correctly, or that end up breaking, which is quite common with tulips. They snap really easily. So I need a lot per stem, and it's hard to compete against the large growers, especially in my area here. There's quite a few that have it all automated and large, it's just set up to be very, very efficient. And I am not efficient here, and especially when I only do 1,000, I'm crazy not efficient. So I don't plant a lot because I'd rather be spending my time in the field. And I actually wasn't even going to plant any, but I did, and now I have to harvest them, and now I have to try and find customers to buy them. But I think the rest that are not ready yet will probably open in a week or ish or so. And it might time out perfectly for Mother's Day. So maybe I'll pop some bouquets on my website and we'll see if we can move them. Because I'm pretty sure Mother's Day is the highest selling flower holiday, at least I think in Ontario from what I've heard. So after I pick the tulips, I stick them in my cooler. I don't have my big cooler running yet. I just turned on my little one that I usually just use for sales. But I don't have that many tulips, and I just have the daffodils here. Daffodils you can store in the cooler quite cool, as well as tulips. You can store for a few weeks, so we can hold them for Mother's Day. Especially if you can keep the bulb on when you pull the tulips. Tulips are a one and done. You can't use the bulb again for the next year. It just won't produce a good flower. So you pull the bulb and then store it with the bulb on, and then you can hold it in a pretty cold cooler. So this bucket will go in the cooler as soon as I'm sure the petals are totally dry. I don't want any moisture in there. And it will go along. I do have a pickup today for an order. So these 3 buckets are heading out. Super happy about that. And then maybe get another order or 2 in, and then hopefully the rest we can ship out for Mother's Day. So yeah, so normally I have or I ideally would like to have a lot of my lisianthus in the ground because they like to get established in cooler weather. But I only have this test plot in the ground right now because a couple weeks ago I planted the straw flower, and they were getting eaten, and it looked like the same damage I had last year on my lisianthus. And I'm pretty sure it's coming from a small like worm caterpillar type creature called cutworm. It lives in the top bit of the soil, and it likes munching on roots, and then it also at night comes out and eats leaves. And it loved my lisianthus last year, and it just made for a really disappointing, probably one of my most disappointing flower years that I think out of all the 20, because I just love growing lisianthus, and I love it's one of my top things I sell. And then I lost probably 6,000 plants last year. Half my crop. I had about 12,000 beautiful seedlings, and they just got munched, and I didn't know what was happening. So I'm really nervous to plant lisies this year. So I just put in a little bit. I first did this bit and it looked good, so I put a bit more in a few days later. But the straw flower, half of them got eaten, and I'm pretty sure it was the cutworm. And now this morning I can see damage here on, yeah, like that one. There's just little bites off the leaves, and that's what happened last year. And then within a couple days, the whole plant would be gone, and then they just kind of march their way across. What I am doing different this year is I didn't plant them in landscape fabric, where you can plant them the same thing I have for my paths, but you burn holes in them and you plant in each of the holes, and it really saves time on your weeding. But the cutworm love living underneath landscape fabric. So A, I'm not doing that. B, I did spray them with that mosquito bit that I'm using for my fungus gnats in the basement. And that's, I have read that once they bite and eat a little bit of that bacteria from the mosquito bits, then that will kill them. And then there's a few other things I can try, but super frustrating. I'm gonna try planting in a few spots in my field just to test some and see if there's a safe area that I can get more lizzies in the ground, but not ideal. Sucks. So I'm just pinching out the first anemone buds that are blooming here. They're a little bit too short for me to sell, even though they're beautiful. And we just got some shade up for them. So hopefully with keep them cool, I'll get some water on, and hopefully we get some nice longer stems soon. I really hope this is the last plant delivery that is arriving. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with all the plants that I have to take care of right now, and somehow I need to get these planted, but I really want to get more trees on my property. So I ordered, I think, 100 white pine, because they're cheaper when you order 100, and then just 20 cedar. I don't really know where I'm going to put them all yet, but fun. I hate climbing by the pond. I feel like I'm picking up ticks, or I don't know what other creatures live around here, but I really need water. So I threw the sump pump in. It's kind of my Band-Aid solution till Bob and I have time to hook up the main pump. We want to make sure it's not going to freeze and that we have time to do that. I just needed a little bit of water because it was supposed to rain and we didn't get any rain. But before the supposed to rain, I planted plugs on various parts of my farm, especially the little lizzies, and they're going to dry out now with these sunny days. So I just want to give them a touch of water until they root in. So last year I put in 100 white pine here. I don't know if you can imagine, this is going to be a beautiful windbreak hopefully someday along this side of my field, and then I also put it along the road. It's such a windy property, so I should have done this 20 years ago. But we also had crappy conditions last year for my little trees. We had like a month of drought and then like crazy amounts of rain. So it wasn't great. I lost a lot, but I was okay with that. That's why I put in so many. And I'm okay with that again this year. It's really survival of the fittest in my little tree field here. Anyways, I just want to thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. We got a ton planted. I just love this time of year, and I'm going to keep planting the trees today and hopefully get some more plants in. It looks like a little bit of rain tomorrow, so that should water them in nicely. And hope to see you again next week.